Hi everyone! For this tutorial about how to set up a document in MLA format, we are going to quickly explore our go-to MLA format resource, which is the Purdue OWL. In other words, the Purdue Online Writing Lab, OWL. And this page is linked in the assignment. So if you ever want to bookmark this, please do so because we'll use it more and more throughout the term, and you will definitely come back to this in your future college journey. So to get started, we don't go to Purdue University, so we're going to go to their online writing lab to take a look at the MLA format guide. So there's a lot to explore on this page. There's some pop-ups. And we will be seeing these resources linked and recommended many times throughout the course, and those will generally come from the general writing tips. This is a public access resource that can help you with your writing style, going through the whole writing process, the specifics of academic writing, especially paragraph construction, essay writing, argument, rhetorical strategies, etc. And also mechanics. So we might come back to here when we talk about sentence structuring in our next unit. Grammar, punctuation, using visual rhetoric, or we will specifically look at analyzing a visual document, etc. But for today, we're not going to focus on general writing. We're going to focus on resources under the research and citation settings, specifically looking at MLA Style. This is the Modern Language Association style, and this is what we use in like English, usually also history, philosophy, etc. Like, so most of the humanities. Chicago style is very popular for publication, etc. APA style is very popular in social sciences, so that could come into like psychology and things like that. But let's take a look at the MLA style introduction. So there are two main access points here. First of all, here's an easy, like this is basically like easy bib, but like you're sure to get it in MLA format correctly and up to date. But other than that, there are two resources. The resource about the overview and some workshops isn't as valuable to us, at least not today, and at least not at this writing level. The MLA Formatting and Style Guide is going to be our main go-to. And if you can see from here, there's a whole drop-down menu. Excuse the pop-up again. There is a whole drop-down menu that you will frequently return to anytime you want to make a works cited entry on your works cited page. But for today, we're going to jump into the general format of how to set up your paper. So it's standard to use an 8.5 by 11 paper. That doesn't really pertain to us because we won't turn in hard copies. But the rest of these are pretty important. So number one, double space our text so that the paper uses a legible font, for example, Times New Roman. You can go outside of Times New Roman, but you should use something very plain and really kind of boring. Leaving only one space after periods, etc. For some people, when they end a sentence, they push period, space, space, but that's just for some reason the MLA doesn't want us doing that. 1-inch margins is pretty important, so that all the pages have kind of the same space that writing is taken up in. Indenting the first line of every paragraph might seem like common knowledge, but a lot of people haven't quite encountered this standard. So it is important to remember that every paragraph should be indented. You can use the tab key, and if you don't have that, you can use 5 space keys. A header with your last name and the page number in the upper right hand corner is MLA standard. Using italics to indicate titles of books and movies, music albums, video games, software brands, I think. I'm not entirely sure everything that needs italics, but in handwriting, sometimes we learned that when we write down a title, we underline it. In fact, in MLA Style and in typing, we use italics. And then we won't be using endnotes, but in MLA, we use endnotes instead of footnotes. Also, there are guidelines for setting up the first page of your document. So you don't need a special title page. Your essay will just start on page 1, and that page should include, in the upper left-hand corner, it should include your name, your instructor's name, the course that you're in, and the date. This example only asks us to use the course, but it's very important to use the course and the section. So for ours, it would be like ENGL 122 dash or space or dot 5285, so that it's just really clear like what class and what section you're in. And the date is formatted using kind of a more European style where we put the number, the month, and then the 4-digit year. The title is centered on its own line without special styling, so no underline, italic, bold, quote marks, all caps, just standard writing where you capitalize each word, except for prepositions. Then in the body of your text, you use quote marks or italic marks when you're referring to the titles of whatever sources you're discussing. Every line of the page should be double spaced all the way from the heading all the way through to the end of your works cited page. And then this is reiterated from before with the header that includes your last name followed by a space and the page number. So we're going to take a look. Here's the example. And then I have a sample document that we're going to set up together. So for the next part of this quick overview, you may wish to pause this video and pull up your document with your rough draft so that you can do these steps with me step by step together. All right, so I'm going to take us first through how to do this in Google Docs, and then we'll look at how to do it if you're using Microsoft Word. And I have a sample essay from a previous student who was writing on a similar essay topic. And we can already see that this paper doesn't look quite like the sample. So yours probably won't either, and that is good because that means you are in the right spot. Once you have your document ahead of you, in front of you, the easiest first thing to do is start with your name. So this student accidentally placed their name on this side of the document. So let's just grab the line and scooch it over to make sure that it's on the left side of the page. Next, we need to add the professor, the class, and the date. So once you have your MLA style heading, first and last name, professor, class, date, now move on to your title. If you don't yet have a creative title, now is the time to choose one. And then make sure that it is centered, all on its own line, and that there are no special stylizations. Already we can see that this is looking a lot better. If we were in person, I would ask you, what do we need to change next? But I'll just pretend that you guys shouted out something about this heading or maybe the paragraphs. So let's look at the heading, or I'm sorry, the header. There's nothing up here. And maybe I could create a line and try and do something like this, but that's actually not the appropriate tool. Instead, we want to insert a page number at the top right-hand side of your page. So again, insert page number, top right-hand side. So this will hook us up with just a plain number. And we want to, in front of this number, type our last name and a space. And then now we have a 1. And this page number will automatically be repeated and included on every single page of the document. So as long as you use the correct tool, insert page number, and place it at the top right of your page, you are on the right track. Next, we'll tackle another obvious problem, and that is simply indenting each paragraph. I'll click in front of these paragraphs and tab. There we go. It looks pretty good, but we still don't have this double spacing. And in order to tackle that, we will select all, Control A, and we'll come up here to the line and paragraph spacing options. So line and paragraph spacing options shows your lines with some up and down arrows. This document automatically has 1.5. We want double. And there's one more setting that some people need to choose and some people don't need to choose. So I'll point it out now. I don't know why this is different for different users, but if there is a space before or after your paragraphs, you need to remove it. If you're formatting your document and it looks like this, if it says add space before or add space after, then you are perfect. But if you're looking at your options and it asks you remove space before or remove space after, select that option so that all of your lines are double spaced consistently with no gaps between paragraphs. So now our sample paper looks a lot like, exactly like the example from the MLA. One more thing that you may need to do is double check and see if you referred to any like pop culture media and make sure that you're using italics and quote marks instead of like underlining or bolding, something like that. And then of course spelling, grammar, punctuation, etc. So like at this point where we haven't revised, we haven't edited, we're still working on our rough draft. So whenever you're ready to format your essay, please follow these tutorials to work on a Google Doc. And then when you are wanting to use a Microsoft Word document, let's take a look at those options. Okay, this is our Microsoft Word document example. Mine might look a little bit differently from yours because I'm working in dark mode. So take a minute to get your bearings. If you work in light mode, this will be a little bit different. And then when we're ready, let's go through the steps and learn where to find all of the tools we need. All right, so we will start with the name section. So remember, you need your name, your professor's name, your course, and the date. All right, so once that is set up, we can go through the same steps, remembering to de-stylize the title. Oh, change everything to size 12, making sure in case that wasn't the default. Adding the header with the page number. So we follow a similar plan. We go to the Insert tool, and then we look for the page number option, which looks like this. And we add it to the top of the page. And we want to choose the one that's arranged on the right-hand side. Return back to your home menu, and you'll need to change this again. Size 12, whatever the font is, so that you keep it consistent. And then your last name and a space. And this will populate that page number across every page of your document. What's next? Now we want to indent each body paragraph. Again, that might seem like common sense to some of us, but remember, we're all working at a different level and we all have a different exposure to the norms of writing in an academic environment. So now let's Control A and work on the spacing for this document. So line spacing options have a similar logo, lines, and an up and down arrow. We want to choose 2 spaces, so double spacing. And we also want to make sure that we remove any space before or after paragraphs so that there's not a gap from one paragraph to another. And then when you're done, this is what it looks like. And once again, this is, if you're doing this in the order that it was assigned, this is just your rough draft, so you have plenty more changes to make before you finish things up. Go for it, enjoy your revising and editing process, and then if you have questions or need more help setting up your document in MLA format, then you may wish to head over to the Purdue OWL website that is linked in the tutorial, or as always, you are more than welcome to send me a message anywhere through our Canvas classroom discussion areas or through the inbox. Happy writing!